Here we have the four functions of management, which are planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. I'm going to be talking about every single one and describing what they all mean and giving examples. Planning, setting goals and objectives, developing strategies, anticipating future conditions. Why planning matters. Planning is important because it provides direction for the organization and its employees. Managers analyze future conditions, identify future problems, and come up with strategies to guide the organization. You want to have a plan with anything in life in general. In college, you want to have a plan. You want to know what classes you have to take. You don't want to be taking all these extra classes that don't matter, that aren't for your major. And you want to make sure you graduate on time. You want to plan for anything in life. And also, I like to plan for the worst case scenario. It's always that what if could always happen. An example of planning would be a project manager creating construction timeline, costs, plans for future potential delays, such as bad weather or material shortages. That's the worst case scenario, and those are things you can't control. So that's why you always gotta plan for the worst case. Organizing, arranging resources, defining roles and responsibilities, establishing structure. Why organizing matters. Organization is important because it improves efficiency, coordination, and accountability by clearly defining who does what. You want to get to the job site and know what you have to do, what everyone has to do so they can all just, get to work, get it done, and just leave. You don't want to get to the job, roam around, and just be wasting time. An example of this is a construction manager contracting and scheduling the electricians, the plumbers, and the carpenters. Especially with the schedules, you want to make sure each trade gets, the right amount of time. And, you want to know what trade to schedule first because the carpenters obviously have to go first. And, yeah. And next we got leading, motivating employees, communicating vision, and influencing behavior. Leading matters because it affects employees' morale, teamwork, productivity. No one wants to work with a terrible leader. You want to make sure your leaders especially knows what they're doing and just make sure he's on top of everyone, with a good attitude as well. An example would be a supervisor motivating workers by recognizing good performance, clearly communicating safety expectations, and addressing job concerns on the job. Controlling, monitoring performance, comparing results to goals, and correcting deviations. Why controlling matters. Controlling ensures that performance stays aligned with plans and goals while also encouraging continuous improvement. You want to make sure everything's going how it's supposed to. You don't want to have no delays because of things that are not supposed to actually be delayed. Make sure everyone's getting their job done, and you want to be nice about it. You don't want to be yelling at your workers and stuff. An example would be a manager tracks project expenses and then compares them to the budget to make sure cost does not exceed project expectations.